Good morning, welcome to your Primetime News. I'm Dhammike Kanayaka.
The news headlines on Gold FM.
Office train services return to normal. 7,000 private buses hit the road. Allegations over excessive water release from Victoria Reservoir. Petroleum Corporation continues negotiations to secure Russian oil. 13 hospitalized following a 6-vehicle pileup. Washington denies ceasefire extension requests. Pakistan delegation in Tehran with a message from the White House. In sports, the FIFA World Cup will continue no matter the circumstances, insists Chief.
The top story on Gold FM.
The White House says it feels positive about the prospects of a diplomatic deal with Iran as a high-level intermediary from Islamabad arrived in Tehran to restart stalled negotiations. Field Marshal Asim Munir met with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi yesterday to deliver a message from Washington signaling a significant push to return to the negotiating table. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters that the administration is optimistic and indicated that any future face-to-face sessions would likely take place in the Pakistani capital of Islamabad, but also reiterated that the US did not submit any formal request regarding a ceasefire extension.
Saw some reporting, again bad reporting this morning, that we had formally requested an extension of the ceasefire. That is not true at this moment. We've remained very much engaged in these negotiations, in these talks. You heard from the Vice President directly and the President this week that these conversations are productive and ongoing, and that's where we are right now. I've also seen some reporting about the potentiality for in-person discussions again. Those discussions are being had, but nothing is official until you hear it from us here at the White House. But we feel good about the prospects of a deal. The President mentioned that in his interview yesterday, and it's obviously in the best interest of Iran to meet the President's demands. I think he's made his red lines in these negotiations very clear to the other side. I would just want to make one point that's important to the President. The Pakistanis have been incredible mediators throughout this process, and we really appreciate their friendship and their efforts to bring this deal to a close. So they are the only mediator in this negotiation. While there have been many countries around the world who want to offer their help, the President feels it's important to continue to streamline this communication through the Pakistanis, and so that's what continues to take place.
This diplomatic movement follows the collapse of previous talks led by Vice President J.D. Vance last weekend. US President Donald Trump told a media outlet that he believes the conflict is very close to an end and suggested a deal is preferable to continued hostilities. Despite this optimism, the situation on the ground remains tense as the US military continues a naval blockade of Iranian ports. Military advisors to the Iranian leadership have warned that the US ships in the Strait of Hormuz face the threat of being sunk if they continue to police the strategic waterway. While Iranian state media claims some vessels successfully transited yesterday, US Central Command maintains that the blockade successfully halted Tehran's economic sea trade. The diplomatic flurry includes a phone call between President Trump and Qatari Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani to discuss the impact of the regional crisis on global energy markets. In Washington, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced a new round of sanctions targeting a shipping network allegedly used by Iran to export oil and gas. He also confirmed that the sanction waiver on Iranian and Russian oil will not be extended.
We will not be renewing the general license on Russian oil, and we will not be renewing the general license on Iranian oil. Again, that was oil that was on the water prior to March 11th.
Right.
So all that has been used.
Secretary Bessent also warned that the US is prepared to impose secondary sanctions on any country continuing to purchase Iranian energy products. He noted that while American consumers are facing high gas prices at the pump, the administration views this as a necessary short-term measure for long-term security gains. Regional spillover continues to complicate the path to peace as Israel maintains its military campaign against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirmed that strikes are ongoing even as his security cabinet met to discuss a potential ceasefire proposal. In Iraq, the conflict has paralyzed the formation of a new government, with President Nazir Hamidi facing pressure from both Washington and Tehran over the selection of a new prime minister. The United Arab Emirates also took diplomatic action yesterday, summoning the Iraqi envoy to protest against recent attacks launched from Iraqi territory. In the meantime, a report quoting two U.S. officials says that Iran used imagery from Chinese-linked satellite to help monitor U.S. military bases during the conflict. It says Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps secured access to the satellite through a deal with a Chinese satellite firm, giving Tehran enhanced surveillance reach across the region. According to the report, Iranian commanders used the satellite to track key U.S. military sites with time-stamped imagery captured before and after drone and missile strike. With that being the case, what is China's real goal amid the conflict? Speaking to an independent news outlet, this is what Professor Rohan Gunaratne had to say.
Asuma, the Chinese position has been that they should not intervene in any conflict because China wants to focus on its economic growth. But in the field of diplomacy, in the field of mediation, negotiation, yes, they are willing. But China will never use force to open the Straits of Hormuz. And there are also calls, including by the Spanish Prime Minister, for China to play a role. It's the first time from a Western country, head of government is urging China to play a role. So I believe that it is likely that at a future date, Russia and China may play a role. Although the Americans don't want that to happen. Most European countries do not want that to happen because they perceive China and Russia as allies, as partners with Iran. Now, with regard to the very important allegation that has been raised, whether China is supporting Iran, we have seen the movement of some ships, some vessels carrying some precursors and also the fuel for missiles and other components that has been moving from China to Yemen and to Iran in the past. But the Chinese have said that these are by Chinese private companies and not by the Chinese government. So right now the international security and intelligence community is investigating these claims whether China and Russia are playing a role in capacitating Iran's capabilities to sustain the fight and right now to restore the wastage and the losses they have endured during the recent campaign.
This is the local news on Gold FM.
Discussions regarding the purchase of fuel from Russia continue. Confirmed by the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation Managing Director, Mayur Nettikumarage, the statement followed inquiries concerning the expiry of a grace period this week, with East sanctions on Iranian and Russian fuel sales. Foreign media reported yesterday that the US notified that this period will not face further extension. During a recent cabinet briefing, journalists questioned Foreign Affairs Minister Vijitha Herath on the possibility of purchasing Russian fuel once this period ends. Regarding the matter, Managing Director Nettikumarage noted that talks explore whether agreements similar to those secured by countries like China and India with Russia remain possible for Sri Lanka. Special bus and train services remain operational today for people returning to Colombo and other major cities after travelling to rural areas for festive season. Railway Superintendent Asanka Samarasinghe stated that office trains will operate according to the normal schedule starting today. President of the Lanka Private Bus Owners Association, Gamunu Vijayaratna, noted that plans exist to operate approximately 50% or more than 7,000 of the private fleet today. He also went on to say that it is expected that the services will return to normal by Friday. These measures aim to facilitate the return of the public following the conclusion of the New Year holidays. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board says that any decision to resume scheduled water cuts will be announced after the 19th of April. A senior spokesperson confirmed that no final determination exists regarding the matter. Authorities initiated phased water disruptions on the 2nd of April due to limited water capacity and prevailing dry weather, affecting several areas in the Colombo district, including Homagama and Padukka. Officials suspended these cuts on the 11th of April to accommodate the festive season. Current water demand saw a decline as residents travelled to rural areas and businesses closed for the New Year holidays. A formal announcement on post-festival supply remains pending a full review of the situation. In the meantime, the Frontline Socialist Party accused the government of deciding to release more water than usual from the Victoria Reservoir for electricity production in response to the energy crisis. Organising Secretary Duminda Nagamura stated that releasing water from reservoirs in this manner, despite warning regarding El Niño and La Niña risks, could lead to severe impacts on agriculture in the future. The Galle District Crime Division arrested a young man in Wanduramba for transporting firearms on behalf of Jaila De Silva, an alleged gang member and drug trafficker alias Karandenia Sudda. Following the arrest, officers recovered a buried 9mm firearm based on information provided by the suspect. Investigations reveal the individual participated in multiple crimes, including transporting the weapons used in last year's double murder of a couple inside a shop in Kumarakanda and the killing of a manager named Kosala in Ambalangoda. The 26-year-old resident of Wanduramba also faces charges related to a shooting involving a Wagon-R vehicle. After appearing before the Baddegama Magistrates Court, the suspect remains in remand custody until the 28th of this month. In a related development, Indian security forces recently detained the brother of Karandenia Sudda at the New Delhi airport while he attempted to flee to another country. 13 people remain in hospital following a collision in Ahaliagoda after a driver lost control of a motor vehicle. Police state the car struck a motorcycle, 3 three-wheelers and 2 other motor vehicles. Those injured currently receive treatment at the Ahaliagoda hospital, though officials confirm that they are not in critical condition. Police arrested the driver of the car, who reportedly told investigators the vehicle surged forward out of control as soon as he started the engine. Meanwhile, 2 people died in separate fatal road incidents within the last 24 hours. Police further reported that 42 individuals died in road accidents, or incidents I should say, between the 10th and the 14th of this month.
Now for some news in brief.
The Department of Meteorology forecasts showers or thundershowers at several places in western, Sabaragamuwa, southern, central, Uva and northwestern provinces after 1 p.m, while a few showers may occur in the coastal areas of western and southern provinces and Puttlam district during the mornings.
The business news on Gold FM.
Brent and West Texas Intermediate futures fell this morning following reports that Iran might permit free navigation through the Omani side of the Strait of Hormuz. Brent crude dropped 44 cents to $94.49 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate slipped 70 cents to $90.59 a barrel as prospects for a de-escalation deal outweighed current supply disruptions. The shift comes as the White House voices optimism over a potential end to the conflict, even as Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent confirmed Washington will no longer renew sanction waivers on Iranian and Russian oil.
International news on Gold FM.
A 14-year-old gunman killed 8 students and a teacher at Isaac Alex Secondary School in Karman Maraz before dying during the incident. Interior Minister Mustafa Chichi confirmed 13 others suffered injuries, with 6 people remaining in critical condition. Local officials believe the attacker used weapons belonging to his father, a former police officer who is now in custody. This latest violence follows a similar attack only 24 hours earlier in southern Turkey, where an ex-student opened fire at another high school.
Entertainment news on Gold FM.
Original cast member Erika Elenick joins the Fox reboot of Baywatch to reprise her role as Shawnee MacLaine in a guest appearance. The former lifeguard character now serves as a Santa Monica City Councilwoman who returns to the beach to support Herbie Buchanan, played by Stephen Amell.
Sports news on Gold FM.
FIFA President Gianni Infantino insists that Iran will compete in the World Cup despite its ongoing war with the United States. He told a foreign media outlet that the Iranian team is coming for sure, and FIFA hopes that by then the situation will be a peaceful one. Infantino added that Iran has to come as they represent their people, they have qualified, and the players want to play, while also stressing that sports should be outside of politics. Iran's participation had been in doubt following US and Israeli strikes, with President Donald Trump raising safety concerns and discouraging the team from attending. The US co-hosts the tournament with Canada and Mexico. That's it for now, but do join us once more at 8:30 for your news highlight. Bye for now.